That's what I do.
Certainly entered with a splash.
Nice.
What
Very happy now.
a cool fish. Now we've got all sorts of action now, because he's going to have to meet the current dominant tank fish, which is that fella there. Now this guy will inevitably end up being the dominant fish, and he's gone straight over to the boss, because there's no chance he's going to win right now with this size difference. But as this groper grows, he will get bigger and stronger, and he will become pretty much the dominant fish in any aquarium. There is very few fish that have the capacity to out-wrangle a dominant giant groper. I would suggest none, not even sharks, can out-dominate this fish. And they're very dominant, even when they're not big enough to be the dominant fish. They just have a very imposing and dominant personality. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here, because you never really know. He might settle in and take his place in the aquarium. He could eat this clownfish,
Could get dominated.
which is possible. I don't think it'll happen, but you really don't know what happens when you put a giant groper in a tank. He's very interested in this hogfish. The hogfish is currently freaking out a bit because we're in the process of servicing the aquarium, which means that adding the groper is quite a good time right now because of the distractions everywhere. And the groper just has to settle in and find himself a place, because then when this hogfish turns around and wants to assert his dominance, he's got to be ready for it. But at the moment, this groper seems very ready for it. He seems to be
Very excited.
he seems very excited. Yeah, he seems very aware of this hogfish. He seems very up to the challenge of being ready to dominate him as soon as this hogfish stops freaking out. So this is going to be a very interesting day in which we have no way of anticipating the outcome. Now, it will be very interesting. He seems to have instantly settled in. He's breathing relaxed. He seems happy.
Don't
So-
forget to put in the comments who you think's going to get dominated.
Yes, so just in case you didn't hear that, just in case, put a little note in the comment section and tell me, who do you think is going to end up being dominated? Do you think that this groper will end up being dominated, or do you think that this wrasse will become dominated, or become dominant, or dominatrix? Okay, so the lionfish has joined the party. The lionfish is realizing there's some action going on,
Very excited now.
and the hogfish has woken up, and the groper looks very ready to dominate. Only time can tell. And basically, my best description for describing the potential outcome of putting a fish like a groper in a tank full of other predatory fish is basically, will your dog get along with my dog? We do not know until we try it. They could end up being best pals, or they could end up literally ripping each other apart. Or they could end up having a big fight at the start, allowing it to be clear who's the dominant and who's the dominated. And then they can end up becoming good friends again after they've established their pecking order. because it's very important for them to establish pecking order, so they know how to interact with each other and they're able to line up in their hierarchy of respect. Governed by the way this groper has basically come straight into the tank ready to take it on, my money is going on the groper. So I'm going to bet $1 million that this groper ends up becoming the dominant fish in this tank. Then the next question will be, is he a good boss? Is he going to allow the tank to thrive, or is he just going to become a complete arsehole and bash all the rest of the fish up? Only time will tell. This guy's bitten me before and drawn blood, so he's definitely not scared of me. So far so good, but mind you, I'd expect it to be good right now because of all the distraction. Even the hog is very distracted because of the water change. And so far this is looking very successful. Certainly seem to settle in quick. So at the moment my plan is to grow this groper up and then eventually put him in my shark tank, knowing that eventually the groper will grow double the size of this fish tank. This groper is able to grow over 4 meters in length and weigh over half a ton. It's the largest coral reef fish, and it would look very cool in my shark tank. But at the moment it's shark food. So he's going in here to grow him up. In regards to dog in the fish tank, personality fish, I'm going to say this guy's pretty much number one. Either this or a clown trigger. Clown triggers have a lot of personality. So put another little note in the comments. Which fish do you think have the most personality? There we go. Get out of my way. Wait and see how much of that goes on. So we expect a bit of rough and tumble for a few days until the different levels of hierarchy are all established, and then we're hoping that they get along. Emphasize hope. So he's definitely asserting his dominance over this fella. Let's wait and see.